Merry Christmas. It's great to have you on Channel's Book Club as 2015 gradually winds down. I am Olakunle Kasumo. We'll be unveiling our top 15 Nigerian books for 2015 in this episode. I'm sure some of you have been looking forward to that since we started announcing it some weeks back. But please sit back and relax. We'll get to it soon. First, let's show you an interview with a rising writing star. She is 25-year-old Ifeoluwapo, the author of this new novel titled On the Bank of the River. When I picked it up to read, I couldn't drop it until I finished reading it. It's fiction that combines romance, drama, and suspense. It's set in both a traditional village environment and an urban city. The book has already been longlisted for one of the top literature prizes in Nigeria. Interestingly, Ife wrote the book when she was only 19 years old. I met with her at Popular African Arts and Literature Center, Quintessence, Ikoyi, Lagos, for an interview. Enjoy it. Ife, thank you for joining us on the Channel's Book Club.
It's a pleasure to be here, Kule.
Okay, so when did you start writing, and what's the story behind On the Bank of the River?
Well, I started writing at age 8. I was in primary 4 then. And I could remember that before I started writing On the Bank of the River, I had a discussion with my mom, who is now late. And we were talking about human relationships and the complexities in the relationship between a man and a woman, between a father and his sons and daughters. And the fact that when you look at human nature, there is bound to be crisis and there is bound to be conflict. So we had that robust discussion, and I wasn't surprised that a book like this came forth afterwards. Well, I started writing it in 2007. I finished on March 9, 2009, but unfortunately it didn't get published until June this year.
That's interesting. Okay, so, now you are 25, Ife.
Yes.
That means in 2009, when you finished writing, you were 19.
I was 19. On that day, I clocked 19.
You were 19. And then that also means that you started writing this when you were 17?
Yes, I was 17,
17.
And I was in part 2 in the
2.
university.
Wow. I mean, to have written such quality at that age is quite impressive.
Well, don't also forget that it has gone through an epiphany itself. Remember, I finished it in year 2009, and I kept on revisiting the novel, editing it and making corrections. So I've also grown with this novel. The original draft is somewhere in my room, and if you see that draft, although the first paragraph is still just the same with what you have here,
but you see that changed.
Not every other thing, but so many other things. Some characters are dead, some are born. I created some, I maimed others, and it's here anyway. And I think I like the fact that it went through that long process, because for me, it was also a story of becoming, not only for the characters in this novel, but also for myself as a writer, or rather, but also for me as a writer.
Okay, now between 2009 and 2015, that's 6 years.
Yes.
What happened? Why couldn't you get it published in 6 years?
Well, I had constraints with publishing, because after having expended a lot of energy, research, remember I was in the university, I was also running after being tops of my class, and at the same time I also had things I was doing then, and then I had this book. I knew that I had to give it good publishing, because I understand too that you can't just take a lot of effort and produce something like this, then bring it out in a way that people wouldn't appreciate. So I knew the kind of publishing I wanted right from the onset.
Wow. So you had 6 years of disappointment from publishers telling you, look, you're not famous enough, we don't want to publish your book. Go and come back some other time.
Well, on the one hand,
some more famous writers.
Well, on the one hand, you can call it disappointment. Well, on the other hand, I feel it is also an experience that is quite good, though challenging for me. And I must say that it has opened me up to a lot of things as regards publishing in Nigeria. Besides that, it has given me the impetus to know that you can do something with or without some structure believing in you. So for 6 years, I went after that dream of being published by a big publishing house. It didn't happen. Not until I stood up to tell myself, you can make this happen, and it did happen.
Well done. Sorry about your mom. Well
Thank
done.
you.
Well done. Now, for viewers out there who are totally unfamiliar with this book, can you summarize it without giving everything away?
Well, every writer will tell
Because
you it is always
there are a lot
difficult.
of twists and turns in this book. While
Of
reading
course,
it, I was wondering, where are you going with this
it's
story?
an episodic plot, so you'd expect twists and turns. But it's a simple story if you consider that there are 3 main characters: Ashake, the village belle; Jibike, her sister; and Enito, Ashake's daughter that she had out of wedlock. And that these women, at every point in their life, were exposed to choices. And then whatever choice they chose actually determined what happened to them. And it's also the story of growth for 3 women who had to pass through rural experiences to urban experiences. It's also a story about the education of the girl child, as well as change in itself. Well, I wrote this book many years ago, but it's a coincidence that people are talking about change right now, and there is a trope of change in this novel.